This is National Native News. I'm Jill Freitas. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld the Indian Child Welfare Act in 2023, according to reporting by SCOTUS blog, affirming the law's role in keeping Native children connected to their families and tribes. But nearly 2 years later, implementation challenges remain. Legal analysis from Cornell Law School says states are still working to fully carry out ICWA's requirements, and according to the National Indian Child Welfare Association, tribal leaders say the law is critical to protecting Native children and preserving cultural identity, and are calling for stronger enforcement nationwide. In the U.S. Supreme Court showdown over the 14th Amendment last week, justices sharply questioned the Trump administration's lawyer for invoking Native American history to challenge the birthright citizenship of immigrants. KMBA's Rhonda McBride reports on why his arguments faced resistance.
In defending President Trump's executive order against birthright citizenship, Solicitor John Sauer compared Indian tribes to foreign governments. He argued the U.S. Constitution treats tribes as sovereign nations, and that when the country was founded, tribal members and their children were not considered citizens, much like the children of foreign diplomats, a standard that he says should be applied to immigrants.
You're using some pretty obscure sources to get to this concept.
Justice Sonia Sotomayor challenged Sauer's reasoning.
The Indian tribes were analogized to foreign diplomats. So what do we do with that?
I'd say two things. First, as the Indian tribes, we think that's a case that strongly supports us.
But Bob Anderson, an Indian law professor at Harvard, says that comparison just doesn't hold.
And they were really stretching to make it apply, and I think they failed.
Anderson says those doubts raised about Sauer's case appear to cut across ideological lines.
It seemed to me that the conservative members of the court recognized that. I was surprised that they seemed to be so much in alignment with the opponents of the Trump administration.
Justice Neil Gorsuch, a widely regarded expert on Indian law, pressed Sauer on Native American citizenship.
Do you think they're birthright citizens?
No, I think the clear understanding that everybody agrees in the congressional debates is that the children of tribal Indians are not birthright citizens.
I understand that's what they said.
Justice Gorsuch eventually got Sauer to agree that by today's standards, tribal Indians are birthright citizens, but then Sauer walked that back.
Not sure. I have to think that through.
So based on the Trump solicitor's arguments, should Native Americans worry about their citizenship status? Anderson says,
no, there's no way that this case could affect the citizenship of Indian tribes because Congress passed a separate law in 1924, automatically making all tribal members in the United States citizens.
The 1924 law passed decades after the 14th Amendment to close the loophole that had left Native Americans without automatic citizenship. The law, though, did not affect their tribal government-to-government status under the Constitution. In Anchorage, I'm Rhonda McBride.
Leaders from tribal colleges and universities are calling on Congress to increase federal funding, saying current support falls short of what's needed. The American Indian Higher Education Consortium says tribal colleges receive significantly less funding per student than other public institutions, despite serving communities with higher financial need. AIHEC President and CEO Anna Wake Rose says, quote, a flourishing tribal higher education sector strengthens the entire nation. Leaders are urging lawmakers to fully fund tribal college programs, saying the federal government has a trust responsibility to support Native education. I'm Jill Freitas.
National Native News is produced by Kawanak Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support by the Gathering of Nations Powwow. The last dance is this April 24th and 25th at Expo, New Mexico. See the outgoing of current Miss Indian World, Dania Wawasuk, Saturday, April 25th. Tickets at gatheringofnations.com and at the gates. Tribal Development Partners believe strong infrastructure strengthens tribal sovereignty. Through the 105L lease program, TDP helps align federal funding systems with long-term tribal priorities. More at tribaldevpartners.com. Proud to support this show.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.